Well, with the pandemic and the governor and all these other government officials closing down our state again, what are your constitutional rights? I have Rick Martin with the Constitutional Law Group here to talk some straight talk. I'm Bunker Bob Steinhagen, and this is The Bunker Bob Show. Yes, and good afternoon. It is great to be back with you again today. And I have a special guest with me today. His name is Rick Martin. He is a lawyer with the Constitutional Law Group, an organization that was established in 1996. And the purpose was basically because the legal system doesn't work. I have said, I don't know how many times, that our nation, we don't have a justice system. We have a legal system, which means that there is not justice for all like there used to be. And now there are people like Mr. Martin who are trying to level the playing field. And Rick, it is great to have you on the show today.
It's a pleasure being here. Thank you so much, Bunker Bob. It's my honor to be here to educate others and taking back our judicial system, which has been corrupted for many decades.
Well, I completely agree with that, and I want to start with establishing where and bottom line, we're here to talk about what's going on with COVID and the government overreach, so that we're on the same page, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, very good. So I want to begin by establishing where restrictions can be put in place and under what circumstances before we delve into the areas that violate the U.S. Constitution and the Texas State Constitution. And I want to start by focusing on private entities. So in general, does a private business, company, or corporation have the right to require that all of its customers and staff wear a mask when on premises and deny its services or employment to those who choose not to comply?
We lost a little connection there. What we got to remember is, I'm going to make one quick statement that I want everybody to listen to. The greatness of a nation can only be measured by the virtue of its freedom and the integrity of the authority to protect that freedom. What we have right now is absolute tyranny. We have government running amok. And for any law to become law, it has to go through legislation and be voted on. Now, let's just say a bad law goes through. What we can rely on is a Supreme Court ruling. And the older the Supreme Court ruling, the more precedent it has in law. We go back to 1803, Chief Justice John J. Marshall stated quite clearly that any law that is repugnant to the Constitution is no law, has no force of law, and can be ignored. And that's what I'm trying to wake people up today, because we, the people, are the big letters on that Constitution. The Constitution is a contract, a binding contract that gives limited, or should I say, delegates limited power to our government to protect our rights.
So, before we go there, I wanted to establish before we talk about the government. I'd like to know what the rights of a business, company, or corporation. Does a company, does a business, big or small, have the right to require that its customers and staff wear a mask?
Absolutely not. All you have to do is look at the licensing, okay? This is how we stay in contract, is you look at your health inspector license or your health license. You look at your liquor license. The government has no authority to take anything from you without due process of law.
Well, that's not, wait a minute, but that's not government. I'm talking about a business. If I'm a business owner and I decide that I want to appeal to an older audience, for instance, and the majority of my customers are in their 80s who are high risk for COVID, for instance, do I not have a right to say everyone coming into my business has to wear a mask?
Not if it's in violation of their rights. If you require me to wear a mask into your business and it's against my religious conviction, you're violating well-established law, which is 1964 Civil Rights Act.
Right, but that's religious
law by
what yeah, but what religious, okay, give me how is wearing a mask a violation of I guess I need to know, what is the religion that that prohibits it?
Well, most religions prevent how do I say, they won't allow you to commit suicide.
No, but I'm talking about wearing a mask.
Mask is cutting oxygen off. It's slow suicide.
Wait a minute. Hold on. You know, when I had surgery, my doctors and nurses, they all wore masks. So, I mean, it may be an exception. And but that's why I asked, are there exceptions to the rule? But you're saying that a business, and again, understand, and bear with me here, and I hope that you're cool with us having a conversation like this. I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus. I'm just trying, as a free market conservative and a business owner myself, I believe that I have a right to conduct business in the way I want to do so long as I'm not doing it in a discriminatory manner. If I require everyone to wear a mask, why is that not okay?
Because it is an act of discrimination. You cannot require somebody to put their own health in jeopardy.
But okay, so if that but that doesn't have anything to do with the Civil Rights Act, does it?
Yes, it does.
How so?
I am responsible for my own health and safety, not my government. It's my responsibility how I handle things. And the government cannot force these mandates on people, especially when they never were voted on by legislation.
But again, this isn't a government doing it. This is me, my business. If I say my business, I want everyone to wear a mask for their safety, why? Because to me, that's a private entity. And, you know, that takes away my liberty as a business owner.
Well, as a business owner, keep this in mind. If you're open to the public, you have to obey well-established law.
Right.
You're open to the public. You are not a private entity the moment you open to the public. So you do have to follow the 1964 Civil Rights Act and not discriminate because of somebody's religious conviction,
okay,
or
but
medical condition, or color of skin,
okay,
or creed. You can't do that.
Okay. If someone has a medical condition and they've got a note from their doctor or something like that, okay. But I mean, for the most part, what religion restricts the wearing of masks?
Well, like I said, if you read the box that the little label that's on the box that comes with the mask, it'll tell you it doesn't prevent anything. Okay,
but we're not okay. Wait a minute. We're not talking. We're not trying to argue the issue, the efficacy of masks. Right. What we're doing is I'm trying to understand what the rights of a private business owner are.
Currently, the private business owners that are firing people for not wearing masks are actually the ones in violation. The ones that are not allowing people entrance into their establishment, they're in violation of the law. And that's well-established law. The one thing that we're looking at here is this whole being compliant for a disease that they can't prove exists, or a virus they haven't even proven exists.
Look, you're not going to get an argument from me regarding the what's going on as far as the government overreach. But I wanted to start where I thought was what I thought was going to be a pretty safe place. That a business, if they want to require you to wear a mask, they should be able to do that because
that's incorrect.
Okay, you're saying that's incorrect, and I still don't understand why. Because again, I mean the Civil Rights Act of 1964, that was. It's discrimination against someone because of religion. I don't know of a religion that restricts the wearing of masks of health. And I'm saying, well, okay, I guess that, you know, if you have a medical condition that masks prevent you from you know, that would take your life away, whatever. Okay, I can see the exceptions, but generally speaking, that's why I asked the question the way I did in general. can't a business set up requirements like that? And I still don't understand where the Civil Rights Act comes in, or where it violates the Constitution. You're going to have to help. You're the expert. I'm not. So that's what help me understand. You got to understand. You got to come down to my level.
Okay. It's a clear violation. I'll explain why. By wearing a mask, if I have a religious conviction and my fears are that I'm restricting my oxygen flow by wearing that mask and committing slow suicide and leaving myself open to hypoxia, hypermia, and staph infections in my mouth inside and out, I'm not going to do that. I have a religious conviction that says I am not going to harm myself. And by forcing me, that's telling me my faith in protecting my body and my life, I don't have that any longer. And that's a clear violation. My religious conviction it actually supersedes everything else. You cannot force me to go against my own belief.
Okay. And so that, it just seems unreasonable what you're saying. I'm just telling you as a free market conservative, I think if you don't like a business telling you got to wear a mask, there are other businesses that you can go to. There are other restaurants. There are other there's options, and that's the great thing. You don't have to. No one's forcing you to go into a business, and so the fact that they're saying that they want to, and again, I'm not going to argue. We're not arguing whether or not masks work, and I think I think the jury's out on that. What I am saying is, I want to know that the liberty. It sounds like the liberty of a private business is of little concern in this discussion.
If they're open to the public, they're no longer private.
But it is private. It is a private business.
Well, I'm saying if you're open to the public, just like if I had a different color skin and you refused to serve me, you just violated. Well,
okay, we just lost you.
Hang on. Wait. Just wait.
Trying to get him back on.
Okay, are we back?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're back. Go ahead.
The focus that we're looking at is if you're open to the public, you're also subject, and what I'm saying, subject to providing a service. Now, the only ones that can discriminate against you is a church.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I'm not following the logic. I apologize. So explain to me again. And by the way, I'm not seeing you yet. You're not on screen. So
I'm back.
There you are. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
all right. So explain. You got cut off. So yeah, you got cut off. So try to please explain again. A business you equated a mask to discrimination on a mask to discrimination on color of skin. I think that is an incredibly long way to jump. Did I misunderstand?
Well, you can't discriminate against somebody that's in a wheelchair. Okay.
Right.
That's the condition. That's part of the well-established law. Yeah. That an act of discrimination is well-established law. What's happening now is you're saying that a private business can discriminate against somebody in a wheelchair.
No, I'm not. Not at all, because I'm not requiring people to come to my business to get in a wheelchair, nor am I preventing people in a wheelchair from coming from frequenting my business. What I'm saying is that if you want to come into my business, you have to wear a mask. If you want to come in my business, you have to wear pants. You have to wear a shirt. You have to wear shoes.
That's different from that. That is a decency. Okay, that's acting decent. No shirt, no shoes, no service is a decency policy.
Wait a minute, a shirt?
Okay?
A shirt?
Don't trump law.
A shirt is
If my
decency?
religion keeps me from wearing shoes, I'm not saying that's my religion, but if my religion, I'm not allowed to wear shoes, you can't discriminate against me on a decency policy.
I would agree.
Policy does not trump law.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with the shoe thing, and if you've got a situation where where someone is has a religion that will not allow them to wear shoes, okay. But I've not. But let's. We still haven't established. There's no. Do you know of a religion that prohibits people from wearing a mask?
Yes, Christianity.
I'm a Christian. I know of no verse in the Bible that prevents me from wearing a mask.
Well, there's verses in there that prevent you from committing slow suicide, correct?
Okay, but again, you're making an assumption about what masks do, which again, that's not what we're here to do. We can't. You're basically making the argument that a mask is something that will harm someone.
Health. It even states it on the box that it's detrimental to your health to wear it too long. People have literally died from wearing that mask. People have passed out from wearing that mask. And these are documented facts.
Okay, again, I'm not here to argue the efficacy of masks. Right. I'm here to talk about the rights of businesses. And as a free market conservative, I'm going to tell you your position concerns me. It scares me because I just believe in the right, and I believe that a private business is not a public business, is not a public place. It is a private place, and and I think the private business has rights that a government like a city hall doesn't have. So we agree to disagree, I guess, on that. Let's move to where we agree. Would that be a better way to go?
Let me make one last point.
Sure. Okay, go ahead. Please. Please. Yeah.
I have explained the law to many police officers that are going after trying to arrest people for not wearing masks and trying to trespass on them for going into a business. And I've been successful because I explain that they're in violation of well-established law and that they cannot trespass them for the fact that they didn't go into business and start wrecking things. They were just simple customers. And I've been 100% successful in educating these police officers and sheriff's deputies on the law. And they are in agreement with what I'm saying. And they were happy to learn because then they said, well, the one that is violating the law is the business owner. And that's correct.
So have you tested any of this in a court of law?
Yes.
Okay.
We actually have lawsuits right now that are against airlines, major box companies. We've got lawsuits going all across on this because we show up with evidence. We show up with evidence of the harm that it does the human being and the fact that it is a true clear-cut violation and it's an act of discrimination, and it's undeniable.
Going on, I'm just curious. Can a hospital require its surgeon and those who are in the operating room to wear a mask? And are you saying, based upon what you're saying, it sounds like a hospital couldn't do that? I think we froze again. Sorry about that. Rick, you froze again. So let's try to get Rick back. And look, the great thing about being a conservative, and I hope that those who are watching understand this and appreciate the fact that we can disagree. We can disagree amicably. As you notice, Rick is not foaming at the mouth, and nor am I, because we're having a spirited discussion. Now, he is a lawyer that deals with the Constitution. I am not, and so I'm not arguing. I think I may be bringing a knife to a gunfight with Rick, and so understandably so. But the fact is, and I hope that you appreciate, conservatives, this is the way conservatives, and this is the way all of us should work. We should be able to have conversations like this. And I think Rick is back. Rick, are you back?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay. All right, good. Please continue your point. I'm sorry that we got cut off again.
Well, as I stated, we're using well-established law, and I never walk into a courtroom with speculation. That's why I went. I go in there with the evidence and the facts, and that's how I tower over the tyrants.
Yes, I think that's great. My question, the question that I asked was, does a hospital have a right to require its surgeon and nurses and those who are in a surgery in operating room to wear masks?
The reason why your surgeons are wearing the mask is so they don't, when they open up a wound or doing their surgery, that they don't get their own biological contamination into the wound.
Okay, but again, you're making an argument not on legal grounds. Is that
Excuse
you?
me.
It's all right. You're not making an argument on legal grounds. You're making an argument based upon science. And so what I'm trying to understand is if a business can't require its employees to wear a mask, how is it that a hospital can require those who are in, a doctor and the nurses who are doing the surgery? How is it that the hospital can require that? And again, I've lost you, by the way.
Because we're talking about not allowing their biological property to be or into a wound, because when you're doing surgery, that's a whole different thing than walking on the playground or sitting in a restaurant. What always amazes me, when I'm sitting down and I'm eating, COVID can't get me. But as soon as I stand up, I get a face mask on because COVID's going to get me.
Yeah, I agree with that. That is, there's no question. There is definitely a double standard as it relates to that. That doesn't make much sense to me either. But it goes back to what we're trying to talk about is what is legal. What is the legal standard? What a business can or cannot do, and what is so based upon what your argument on the surgery, on the doctors in an operating room. What is the legal standing that says that a hospital can require that, and what is the legal standing that says that a business cannot require that? There you go again. You're off again. I don't know. Are you there, Rick?
I just returned. We were getting really horrible reception at this hotel.
Okay. There you are. All right. So did you hear the question?
What was the difference between why a surgeon has to wear a mask and why a layman, restaurant owner, or a patron to a restaurant does not?
No. What I was saying was, the question is, what is the legal standing as it relates to the hospital's legal standing to require its employees to wear masks in an operating room versus the legal standing of a business owner not to be able to require its employees to wear a mask?
Okay. If the patient gets an infection, the hospital's insurance and the hospital are liable.
But again, I'm asking about legal standing. What is the legal standing? Can you be?
It's a preventive measure from a patient that's being operated on. They're serious.
Okay, the hotel that he's at, I think, has really bad reception. When he comes back, Rick, when you come back, just let us know, and we will try to get to continue this. My concern at this point, well, there's a lot of questions I have for Rick. And are we not able to get him back?
He's back.
He's back? Rick, are you back?
I was having a problem unmuting, but Well, this is frustrating. We might have to do another interview here.
Yeah, I'm thinking so, and I don't see you, but I can hear you. So I guess we can start. We can go do it that way.
But yeah, I definitely want to get some information out there because we do have recourse. And these governors right now, I don't know if anybody's aware that we filed against 42 governors currently, and we list them as domestic terrorists. And
Okay.
we also are going after Bill Gates.
Well, then let's go there. All right. So let's go to a area that we seem to have agreement on. So let me start with just last week. The Supreme Court ruled against New York Governor Andrew Cuomo's cluster initiative, which placed strict attendance caps at worship services in areas hit hard by coronavirus outbreaks, which the court majority, not including John Roberts, by the way, but the court majority said violated the First Amendment's protection of free exercise of religion. How are the rights of churches, synagogues, and other places of worship different from the rights of other private or not-for-profit entities?
Okay, as I said earlier, churches can discriminate on who they allow into their church, just like private membership clubs can do the same. This is a precedent that the businesses can use as well, because they stated it. Just use the Supreme Court rulings that are coming out currently, and you'll find that you will find remedy to shut down this government overreach.
So can a private business company or corporation compel employees to get or undergo COVID testing?
No.
Okay. Now I want to transition our focus a bit to government overreach into the private sector. Under what circumstances can government compel a private business, company, corporation to require its customers and staff to wear masks and social distance? You're gone again. Okay. Doggone. We may have to. I'm sorry about this. His hotel that he's in is not the best location, I guess, for this. And there's a lot of questions that I have. And the issue right now is we're about to be hit, it seems, by more government restrictions. My biggest concern is that government is going to impose restrictions against businesses, private businesses that have a right to do business, and government's going to tell them what they can and cannot do that is outside of their law. There's no established law. Okay, there's Rick. Rick is back again. All right, so let's try again, Rick. You're on.
Okay. Yeah, when it comes to government, we devise government to protect our rights. And right now what we're seeing is so much government overreach. And, we're a nation of laws. And laws are there to protect us, not injure us. And right now, that's what's going on. We have suicide rate up 300%. I mean, we've got to take this very serious. What I said way back in March is COVID-19 was nothing more than a Trojan horse brought in to bring in economic warfare. And to be following these mandates, we as a people are committing economic suicide. We need to open our businesses. We need to read our liquor licenses. We need to read our licenses for health department, all that stuff. And we got to hold these government servants, the public servants, to the letter of the law.
Now, what I understand you're saying is that there is no established law that the government, and let's talk about the governor and county commissioners when they create these executive orders. These are outside of the rule of law. The legislature's not coming in.
Correct.
So speak about that a little bit.
Well, the Constitution is the bedrock of all law, okay? And as I said earlier, John J. Marshall said it best in the Mulberry versus Madison case back in 1803. Any law that is repugnant to the Constitution is no law, has no force of law, and can be ignored. And then you have Justice Scalia saying in the Mack versus U.S. case, 1996, Justice Scalia stated, the Constitution protects us from our own best intentions. We just got to follow the law. We did not give government servants more power than us. Government servants were only delegated limited power.
Right.
They don't have more power than we do. We're the people. We're the ones that they are supposed to be listening to instead of vice versa. When you have a people that is afraid of its government, you have tyranny.
I agree.
When you have a government that's afraid of its people, we have freedom.
Amen. Amen to that. I agree with that, Jefferson. So, under what? So, I know this is a rhetorical question because I mean anyone watching this would know that this is what the answer is. Under what circumstances can government compel private business companies, corporations to close their doors when there is no established law restricting or prohibiting them from doing business in normal fashion?
None whatsoever.
And what
None whatsoever.
So what can businesses do when that happens? What should they do?
They should stand in defiance, because you got to ask the one simple question that I always ask: by what authority? Because you're my servant and I'm your master. I pay your salary, you don't pay mine. When did you buy stock in my company that you can shut me down and limit my sales? You can do it. And they know that. That's why I've been 100% successful until the other day. I'm running these government agents out of a business. Now, what recently happened in Colorado, a bar and restaurant was invaded by 20 liquor board agents. I spoke to Brian, his name was Brian Turner in Colorado. He was the lead supervisor, showed up with 19 other armed liquor board agents, and I explained the law to him and said, if you proceed to violate the rights of this business owner, you can be sued in your private capacity because you no longer have judicial immunity because you're knowingly and willingly violating the rights. And his statement to me was, well, I guess I'll see you in court. And they proceeded not to arrest the business owner, but take all their alcohol. So my advice to him was, call up your distributors and restock, and I'll be speaking to them tonight. We're going after the liquor board in Colorado full force. We're going to put a boot up their backside. I'm going to explain the law the way it is written. And there's nothing in their contract that prohibits them from selling alcohol as long as they're not violating their contract. They're not selling to minors. They're not selling to people that are over intoxicated, and they're not selling after hours. And they're supposed to get 3 citations before they can even suspend their license to sell liquor.
But there are standards established for the suspension of a license that are well articulated in law, and
they're violating their own law.
That's correct. No, I agree with that. So what? So we're here in Dallas, or next door in Dallas. The county judge has placed restrictions on restaurants that must now have, I think, 50% occupancy. I don't know how many restaurants can survive with these kinds of restrictions.
And the question is always going to be, by what authority? By what authority? Now, you got to realize, when a judge wars against the Constitution, okay, there's a very good case where I can go after judges, which I have used many, many times in the past when I'm dealing with a corrupt judge that is drunk on power, okay? And that's the Aaron versus Cooper case. And let me read it to you real quick, just so you get a taste of it. Any judge who does not comply with his oath to the Constitution of the United States wars against that Constitution and engages in acts in violation of the supreme law of the land. The judge is engaged in acts of treason. The Supreme Court has stated, no state legislator or executive or judicial officer can war against the Constitution without violating his undertaking to support it. And that's Cooper versus Aaron. And that was a 1958 case.
Rick, the problem that I have, not about you. Well, the problem that I have in general about about our legal system. And again, I don't know. Do you agree that we don't have a justice system? We have a legal system.
That's pretty much correct. And my good friend Sidney Powell wrote a book about it, and it's worth reading. Sidney Powell, she's another Texan, good friend of mine for many decades.
Yeah. So what are the remedies for here? You're saying, okay, you challenge the law, you ask under what authority, those great things. The problem is, as I go back to, we have a legal system, not a justice system. We're not seeing justice prevail. We're seeing law, the legal system. Yeah, but so what? I mean, great. Well, there's a lot of laws that government just doesn't even pay attention to. So, I mean,
so you take it out of the court system. Let me.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Okay. What we're doing now is it's called an affidavit and declaration of truth and fact. Okay, and let me tell you, when you put in the facts, I've got it on our template. You go to constitutionallawgroup.us, you'll see we've got everything laid out in layman's terms to anybody. A fourth grader can do it. We're doing affidavits. An unrebutted affidavit stands as fact in court. So when they don't rebut it, they tacitly agree that all the charges on there are correct and just. And we lay it out in such a way, if they try to rebut it, they're going to perjure themselves. So it never gets rebutted. And then we go for a summary judgment because there is no argument in the matter. And that's how we're going after these people in their private capacity. Several health inspectors, supervisors have already quit their jobs in California because we went after them. And we're going after, I call it bottom-up, top-down approach. We're going after the governors and everybody in the food chain from the top down, and then we're going after city council, mayors, anybody that's acting outside their oath of office. We're going to hold them accountable. We're going to use their oath of office as the linchpin to hang them by.
So basically, you can get this affidavit of fact, of truth and fact, off of your website, which is www.constitutionallawgroup.us. And what do you do with that affidavit?
I've got all the instructions in there and how to do it correctly. Like I said, my team put this together, and it's already we already have several governors on the hook because they never could rebut what we challenged them with.
So one of the other questions is,
we're working with sheriffs to start making arrests.
So that is my next question, because I wanted to talk about what responsibility does state and local law enforcement have when government takes action that violates the Constitution? In other words, can law enforcement officials refuse to enforce and execute an executive order instituted by governor or a county commissioner?
They have the responsibility to protect. The sheriff is your most powerful executive officer in your county. It is their duty. They're duty bound to protect you from intrusive government. And that's what I was doing the sheriff conferences with. I've spoke with over 600 sheriffs across the nation. And now I'm just waiting for one of them to step up and make an arrest of a governor. And I'm pushing real hard on Sheriff Golden in New Jersey. He's the current sheriff, and his ambition is to be governor. He put his hat in the ring for governor. So he's a former firefighter and EMT worker, and he's also a college professor under political science. So his ambition is to be the next governor. And I would love to get him into that governor's seat by getting rid of Governor Murphy and charging him with domestic terrorism.
So you charge them with domestic terrorism. Do you expect the courts to fall in line and prosecute?
Well, it's the duty of the sheriff to get his own grand jury. Believe it or not, he has that power. and he can reach in the phone book, pull out 25 names, and devise his own grand jury, and then prosecute from there.
Who prosecutes?
You can use the county prosecutor.
What if the county prosecutor says there's no case here, I'm not going to do it?
Well, they have to. The grand jury's the one that makes up their mind whether it's going to be prosecuted or not.
But on a grand jury, you have to have the prosecutor has to make the case.
Well, we've already got the case made for the sheriff. That's what the sheriff brings to the grand jury.
I thought so the prosecutor doesn't bring that to the grand jury, the sheriff does?
No, the sheriff can start his own grand jury.
I understand. So he's got a grand jury. The sheriff then brings the facts of the case before the grand jury, not the prosecutor?
Yes, brings it before the grand jury, and the grand jury decides whether they convict or not, whether there's enough evidence there. So yeah, we also have the sheriff handbook on our website as well. Everything that you want to find is going to be listed under resources, and the sheriff's handbook is only 84 pages. And I would advise everybody to read the sheriff handbook. You'll have at least 1/10 of knowledge that I have just by reading that 84-page sheriff handbook. So most sheriffs do not realize the power they possess.
Well, maybe not.
It's their duty to protect the people from intrusive government.
All right. So, okay. The struggle that I'm having with this is, okay, I'm a sheriff. You're actually, it sounds like they're playing attorney.
That they're playing attorney? No. They already know their oath of office, and their oath of office is they must act for we the people. And if their people in their county are being harmed by these unlawful edicts put out by the governor, and that's why we call it domestic terrorism. They have no basis in law. They're not enforceable. And if you enforce it, you're acting in treason against the people.
Let me ask this. So, Jay Sekulow, constitutional attorney, Mark Levin, a constitutional attorney, have either of them joined forces with you have you spoken to them? What, I guess, because a lot of this is the first time I've heard most of this.
Right. Well, most of the problem that you're dealing with is, it takes courage. And I can tell you, I've gotten many, many death threats for what I'm doing, and it's by people in government, because the deep state does not want to be exposed.
Yeah, but Mark, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about Mark Levin, Jay Sekulow, two individuals Kelly Shackelford here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but another constitutional lawyer attorney.
Yeah, Judge Napolitano, he even came out publicly and said every bit of this is unconstitutional and cannot be enforced. And that was way back in March.
I'm sorry. I'm talking about the sheriff's what you're asking the sheriff's department to do in forming grand juries and things like that.
Yeah, that's all in the sheriff handbook.
Right. My question is right. My question is, so the Jay Sekulows, the Mark Levins, the Kelly Shackelfords out there, the people whose legal opinion is second to none, I would argue. They've all of them have argued in front of the Supreme Court. Maybe Mark Levin has not. I apologize, but Sekulow and Shackelford have. But have these attorneys taken hold of this, and are they partners with you? Have you talked to them or Levin as well?
I wouldn't be able to answer for them seriously. They practice differently than I do. I'm extremely controversial. I've had more judges arrested. I've actually had judges arrested straight off the bench by the bailiff. So I've got that reputation. I pretty much attack the corrupt judicial system. And I hold their feet to the fire.
What judges have you had arrested? Who are they?
The last one was John Lovett Jr. in San Jacinto, Texas. He was a district judge, and I pretty much set him up. And long story, but he was arrested. He was given 8 years, and he was out in 2.
And what was the basis of that?
Destruction of government documents.
Okay. So you say you're different than the Jay Sekulows, Kelly Shacklefords, and even Mark Levin.
Yeah, it's because I don't play on the defense. I play on the offense. I automatically attack jurisdiction from the get-go. And I know how the system's rigged, and that's where I hold. I just handled a case the other day in Pennsylvania, and the judge shut the court down. I've had more judges run off the bench than you can imagine because they refuse to answer a question because it knows it's going to put them in a bind. And the simplest question is you ask them, is this a court of record? And they get real hesitant on answering it. And then I ask them, you've taken an oath, the prosecutor's taken an oath to uphold, protect, and defend that Constitution. Is that correct? I asked that question the other day. There were 10 other defendants in the courtroom that were waiting to be questioned or what have you, indicted. And the judge shut down right then and there because he would not answer the question. I asked him 3 times. He said, well, I could answer yes. And I said, no, sir, that's not what I'm asking. I need an affirmative, yes or no. And this judge was like a chicken on a hot plate, dancing around, answering the question. I asked it 3 other times, and he literally shut down the courtroom and rescheduled the next hearing for January 6th. So that tells you something.
Okay, so can public school districts require students to wear masks and adhere to social distancing standards? Why not?
They have to show by what authority. My offspring is my biological property until they hit the age of consent of 18. That's my biological property. I will decide whether they get immunized or not. I will decide how to best keep my biological property safe. It's not the duty of a school system to do so. And if they try to infringe on my parental rights, I'm going to hold them accountable.
So, just a curious question: Can a school district deny the right of a parent if I said I wanted my child to carry a gun to school?
Well, that's a little bit different, don't you think?
No, I don't. I'm asking these questions based upon a legal measure, and you're setting up standards. So I'm testing the standards. I'm looking for the exceptions.
To be honest with you, when I was in high school in Texas, most of the guys had shotguns in their trucks in the back, on the gun rack of the back window of their trucks.
Right.
That wasn't unlawful.
Right.
And what's the one? If we make laws, what is it? For safety's sake, we're no longer safe or free.
Right. But you said it was different. You asked me. You said that's different, don't you think? So
I'm looking at it as whether my kid's wearing a mask or carrying a weapon in school. Now, I can argue that both ways because I'm looking at it very simply that when they're forcing me to wear a mask, that to me is unlawful. I'm not going to be wearing a gun in school. To me, that just doesn't make a lot of sense.
But you made the same argument with wheelchairs as it someone in a wheelchair as it related to businesses when I made a similar argument. So
well, no, and the argument is you cannot discriminate against somebody because of their religious conviction or health matters or what have you. Now, actually, bringing a gun to school, I've seen it before. It doesn't matter to me. But I guess it all goes to intent. And that's what you have to prove is intent. The prosecution always has to bring the evidence, and they have to prove intent. Did I intend on harming somebody? I might be a little off track on that, but
okay. So the intent of a business or a school is to ensure that people are not harmed.
Well, you have to prove that there was an intent to harm.
Okay, and that's your okay. So that's your. Okay, so if that's true, then you have to prove that. You have to prove that a business intends to harm someone by requiring that when they come in, they wear a mask. Don't you have to prove that that's their intent? If that's the standard?
That's the prosecution's. That's up to the prosecution. I, as a defense lawyer, I have to demand they have evidence that COVID even exists, which they cannot do.
Wait a minute. Okay. You're yeah, we've kind of gone off the rails because I mean you're saying that there's no such thing as COVID. I mean, I don't know where we go from there. I mean, I was hoping that
listen to Dr. Kaufman. There's hundreds and hundreds of doctors that are being silenced.
I agree with you. Listen, I agree. Listen, I agree with you that no question. This is where we agree. Where we don't agree is to say that there's no such thing as COVID. There is COVID, but how to treat it is being quashed. The ability of doctors to be able to treat it in a way that actually makes a difference, and the only people that are allowed to speak is the government, and they're the only their opinions are the only ones that seem to matter anymore. I agree with you on that point, but to say that COVID doesn't exist, I think I think you've lost me.
A lot of the medical stuff is being hidden from the public, and when I look at the media today, it's all propaganda. And
I agree.
Propaganda is a weapon.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But Rick, I mean, if we're going to have these kinds of conversations, we can't go off the rail and say, well, COVID doesn't exist. That's what you just said. COVID.
I believe it doesn't exist. I truly do. I've spoke to too many doctors. As a matter of fact, Dr. David Martin is part of the Constitutional Law Group. And he's studied this for many, many decades. If you read our mass tort claim, we can actually show evidence going all the way back to 2003 that this was well planned out. And I will back that up with fact.
Well, and I happen to be of the opinion that it was a conspiracy by China. I think it is a dirty bomb, if you will, that they're testing and hoping to do more, because I actually believe that COVID does exist. I believe that it is something that has taken people's lives.
And it's got. If you look, you're in Texas. I've got some video that I'll get to you about how they were coming up with the numbers, and this is one of the.
I agree.
I want to say Colton County.
I agree.
They had a court hearing, and they were talking about how they were fudging the numbers.
Right, Rick, but see, we're talking. We keep talking. You keep saying, okay, so they're fudging the numbers about what? You just said there's no such thing as COVID, and I'm arguing there is, and so my argument that the way they're fudging the numbers, I think, has merit. When you say there is no COVID and they're fudging the numbers. That's where I say, well, wait a minute, fudging what numbers? If there's no COVID, then what numbers are they fudging?
I, in my opinion, I believe this is probably one of the greatest hoax other than 9/11.
Okay, okay. Then we don't agree, and that Rick, that's okay, right? We can disagree.
I've spoke to too many doctors. I've done more. What would you say? Interviews with them and learned quite a bit. And whenever we did the sheriff conferences that were like 8 hours long, we had many, many well-educated doctors and health professionals that brought me into this knowledge and the belief that I have now that COVID is a hoax. Okay. And they convinced me.
Okay.
They convinced me all the way.
Okay.
And speaking with Dr. Kaufman yesterday, he even said this is a hoax.
Okay.
And we're going along with it.
All right.
Now, was it something that, you look into the Chapel Hill? I wish I had my mass tort claim here, but I definitely ask your viewership just to go to constitutionallawgroup.us and go to the mass tort claim. where we have it documented line by line, every point where this was actually planned out since 2003.
Okay, and so again, we're not here to discuss. That was not the purpose of this show. It was talking about, the legal rights, constitutional rights of citizens. And
actually, let me back you up. We do not have constitutional rights. We never had constitutional rights.
It's endowed by our Creator.
Rights. And the Constitution is a contract between we and the government. Constitutional rights, that when you say that to a judge, they automatically know that you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Constitutionally protected rights.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for correcting that. I agree with that. But that was the purpose of our discussion, to talk about how our Constitution is being abused, how government is abusing our rights that is protected under the Constitution. And I appreciate the time that you've given me to talk through these things. And I do encourage citizens, if you're curious about what you can do to fight back against governmental tyranny, business owners who are being forced to stop, basically for your business to go under because you can't serve the public because of these public mandates. The Constitutional Law Group has some resources that you can see. Again, we'll have all of this information in a link on the page. It is constitutionallawgroup.us. And you can find if you go there, it is a lot of information, and there is a lot of links that you can go to, including the document that Mr. Martin was talking about, the affidavit of truth and fact. So you can get that. You can get a document on the sheriff handbook, basically, to explain and help educate to a sheriff what he can and can't do, that has been provided. And so there's a lot of resources, but also Rick Martin is available. So if you need an attorney for your business, or you are being your rights are being violated, Mr. Martin is available. Rick, I'm going to give you the opportunity to any closing remarks before we head out.
What I would make my remark as, we are in very uncharted territory, absolutely. But as I said before, we are at war. We are at war with our own government right now. And to prevent bloodshed, we need to learn the law. We need to become educated so we know how to fight back against this tyranny. And those public servants that are acting outside their oath of office, we need to stand together and hold them accountable. And that goes for these corrupt court systems. This is actually an opportunity to clean our judicial system. And if we don't stand up now and unite against this tyranny, we're going to lose the greatest republic the world has ever known. And only by the grace of God, we can have one nation put back together. And I mean, we've got to see the seriousness of what's going on. This is absolute tyranny. This is absolute war. They declared war on us, but we never heard them say we are at war.
Rick, I appreciate your time today and what you have contributed to our discussion. And I enjoyed the conversation. I really hope you did too. And those of you
Absolutely.
And again, I'd love to have you back on the show. I know you're traveling everywhere, so your time is very limited. But if you want to come back on the show, you're welcome back.
Oh, God bless you.
Thank you.
And God bless America.
God bless America is right. And Rick Martin, as I said, can be found at the constitutionallawgroup.us. And so I hope that this discussion has been helpful. We disagree on some things, and that should be okay. I think that he makes some good points, and I want to respect those points, but I also want to defend as a free market conservative the principles that I believe in, and I believe that businesses have rights that maybe we disagree about, and that's okay. So listen, I think there is a lot more discussion to be had on this issue and others, and I'll be having hopefully Robert West has agreed to come on my show, and he wants to talk about what we can do to basically censure Governor Abbott for some of the things he's doing. So that is a show coming up as well. If you have comments, questions, or thoughts, please do give those, put those in the comment section. I am also moving to MeWe. Away from Facebook, so I'll be on Facebook a while longer, but hopefully not too much longer. Also want to give a shout out to Laverne Kinnemeyer, who is in the hospital recovering from hip surgery, who is our county chair. I wish her the very best, and wish the very best and the best wishes to the David Magnus family. David Magnus, our county chair, died of a heart attack just a couple of days ago, unexpected, and obviously a good man, and wish all the very best for his family. Finally, Walter Williams, the great economist that was, he died this week as well, or last week as well. And if you don't know who Walter Williams is, you should check out YouTube and learn about conservatism from him. He is someone that I greatly respected and hate to see exit the electorate, as we say. Well, this has been the Bunker Bob Show. I appreciate you being here with me today, and we look forward to having you next time. Blessings.